Well, get ready.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Hope you guys
Hey,
are doing
y'all.
great.
Happy Friday, y'all. I'm getting in on
We
the
keep working on
I'm
that.
getting in on the action. You guys can come in and see some of the behind the scenes before we get started. We're getting our camera set up, getting behind the scenes, letting you see a little behind the curtain, just not behind the shower curtain.
Not behind the shower.
No behind the shower curtain. Okay, let me log in here. So welcome. We'll get started at 7 p.m. Eastern. What up, Jay? We are just getting things set up here.
What do you keep doing over there?
I'm trying to get into StreamYard so that I can see the thing.
Okay.
What are you doing over there? And so as you guys are coming in, hello, welcome. Let us know where you're coming in from.
Tammy, come say hi. Rain, come say hi.
And also, we would love to hear throughout the challenge any big takeaways that you've had, anything you've learned, anything you've implemented. Here is Rain, our marketing manager, and Tammy, our sales associate.
Hi, Heather. Hi, Jamie.
And we're showing all the behind the scenes so you guys can kind of see what it takes.
Yeah, so you guys
what
just
we're
mostly
doing.
see
Oh,
Chelsea
there's
and
Mr.
I.
Matthews. Yeah.
So welcome.
Okay, I'm going to enter this
Don't
student.
forget to pull up the group for the comments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the group.
Bye.
Right. All right. So they will be
Thanks, guys.
they will be in the comments helping us out with some of the notes as we're talking. All right. New York is in the house. Cool. So as you guys come in, if you have any questions throughout, you can put them in the comments. We'll do our best to get to them while we're live, and we're going to get started right at 7 p.m. Eastern. But we're going to have a little chit chat about what we've talked about throughout the Wealth Building Challenge. And
a recap.
a little bit of a recap, and we would love to see in the comments any takeaways, any things that you've implemented, any like aha things that you were like blown away that you didn't know. We would love to see that. We love your participation. We love your comments. If you're in the group, you can't share this stream because it's private. If you're watching somewhere else, you can share the stream. And then after, I think, are we going to put a link that they can share?
Yeah.
So we'll put a link after this stream tonight, and you can share it on your page. And tonight, you guys, we're going to be giving away $500 cash money. $500 cash money. And so you could be a winner tonight. All right, so I am pulling up the group here because I think that we can't see all of
the winner every night.
I think we can't see all the comments on the screen there. So I'm gonna go, aha.
So drop in the comments, let us know what some takeaways, what you've learned. What was something that stood out for you during this wealth building challenge? All of that. So let us know, and we're going to get started right at 7 p.m. Eastern time.
So yesterday we talked about build wealth, and man, there's a lot of ways to build wealth. There sure is a lot of ways to build wealth, but really the key takeaway is understanding where you are in your financial house and knowing what your goals are and what the right wealth building strategies are for you. Because what is a good strategy for one person, it may not be the right strategy for you. So it's important to understand where you are in your financial house and what is the next step to strengthen your financial house and reach your financial goals. And we also talked about the 3 enemies to your wealth, because it is so important to not only know what the strategies for building wealth are, but also the things that could take you out of the game, right? Because we're playing a game. Life is a game, building wealth is a game, and you got to know what can take you out. And so we talked about the 3 enemies of your wealth, which is taxes, inflation, which we're experiencing a lot of right now, and market risk. And so any decision that you're making when it comes to building wealth or making an investment is you can match it up to those 3 enemies and ask yourself, hey, how does this investment affect me when it comes to taxes, when it comes to inflation? Am I protected against inflation? Am I going to have to pay taxes? Am I going to have to pay less taxes or more taxes? And then market risk. What kind of risk is there? Am I at risk of losing my money? Am I willing to take that risk? And so those are all things that you want to look at when you're making decisions on strategies to build wealth. And we also talked about one of the challenges was to think about your ideal life when it comes to building wealth. We talked about on the first day, cash flow. What's your ideal cash flow? And then yesterday we talked about what is your ideal wealth building life? Like what kind of wealth would you like to build? And what would that do for you? Like what kind of life would you live? What kind of impact could you make? What things could you do? And so you really want to start thinking about abundance. And instead of shrinking yourself and looking at just your reality right now, like get outside of that and think abundance, flourishing, prospering. Rockin' Robin says, identifying money, personality, cash flow, life insurance, different ways to build wealth, how bad taxes really are, but how we can generate tax-free money. Yes. And you know what? Taxes, it's like the silent killer. Like people don't really think of it as a bill or an expense because it's just something that we have to pay. And we don't really get anything for it immediately. And so it's like something that we don't even really realize how much it affects us.
So I need you to put on that computer the other one in a group so I can also see the comments. So just go to Facebook in the group. So hey, we're getting started. We're getting started in this is just kind of a warm up, doing a recap. Different people are sharing what they learned, where they're watching from, and also what they learned from our wealth building challenge so far. So today is the day 5. It's a 5-day wealth building challenge. Every day we talk about some aspect of your financial house, how to strengthen it. We talk about cash flow, debt management, reserves, proper protection. And then some of you guys had an opportunity to go and request a life insurance quote from us. If you hadn't and you still would like a life insurance quote from us, feel free to go to 6buildingblocks.com/quote. Number is 6buildingblocks.com/quote. And you can request a free quote from us. So Chelsea and I have a combined 21 years experience in the financial industry. We own an insurance and investment agency, and we can help you with a lot of these kinds of different things. What?
Oh my God, you're saying my part.
Yeah.
I didn't even know if you knew that part.
Yeah.
I always say that part. You're taking all the stuff from me to say now. I have nothing to say.
So no, you got plenty to say. So today we're going to be talking about build legacy. How do you tie all this together to build a legacy so that you can build and become financially where you want to get to. And the reason we're doing all of this is one, we want to expand our brand. We talked about on day 1, we talked about cash flow and exchange. And one of the main reasons we're doing this challenge is, number one, to educate people, because financial literacy, financial education is one of the biggest problems in the world today. Lack of financial literacy is one of the biggest economic crises people have. People don't know enough about money to know what to do with it, how to handle it, how to make it, keep it, make it grow, all of that kind of stuff. And so by sharing our expertise in this challenge, that's what we want to help correct. Now, the second thing is we want to be able to expand our brand. And the way you can help us with that is by sharing some of the stuff we're doing and talking about with people that you know. And to incentivize you to do that, I could pay Facebook and give it to a multi-billion-dollar company, or we could also give it to participants. So we decided we would do giveaways, and that's part of your incentive. That's some of the exchange. You help us get more known, and we reward you for your participation with some money. Because, and the way to stand out is to participate. Participate, comment, like our stuff, give us some hearts, those kinds of different things. All of that's participation, because it allows our content to be shown to more people, which helps us expand our message to more people, which is part of our goal.
Jamie asks if we want to adopt her. And oh, she says, I've learned more in this challenge than I have my whole life.
Awesome. Well, that's
wow,
great
that's
to hear.
really cool.
That
Yeah,
is great to
because
hear.
you know, this information is not taught in schools. And unless you come across somebody that knows this information, it's not really readily available. Like, we had to go seek it out.
Yeah.
And find people who had the right information about how money works so that we could learn and we could implement it. And now that's why we're doing this, because we want to teach more people this information to implement, and it can really change their life. Audrey says, I didn't realize the info regarding life insurance. Anna, welcome. She says, I saw you on Facebook and this is my first time. Welcome. We are so happy to have you here. We're talking about wealth building, how to create lasting wealth, building lasting wealth for generations, so you can strengthen your financial house and handle anything that comes your way. Let's see, I'm just catching up to see if there's any other. Tim sucks. Yep, that's right. Tim sucks. Taxes, inflation, market risk. Okay, let's see here. Just catching up. I love the idea of owning rentals. Cool. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I think even without the
Okay, so almost time. We're going to get rolling here in a second. Just waiting for 7 o'clock to kick 7 o'clock Eastern time.
All right.
We will be going live. Look, you guys get us on our date night. Chelsea and I, there's some of our successful actions. Chelsea and I do date night at least once a week. This was a policy I had when she and I first started dating. So date night at least once a week. So now you guys are spending date night with us. Don't worry.
Hey.
Don't worry. We'll keep it rated R.
We'll keep it rated R? No, we won't. This is a family show. There could be children watching.
How do you think families are made?
Oh my God. Oh Lord. Happy Friday, y'all.
How do you think those kids come about, man?
If your kids are watching, you might want to put some earplugs in. Those kids don't just
pop out of nowhere. They come from a certain action. We're talking about
building wealth.
Yeah, that's how you build.
Yeah.
You get a bunch of kids and they work for you.
No, we're not talking about that kind of building wealth.
In Africa, my mom always said, when you have a big family, one of your kids are going to be successful. So have a big family and increase your odds.
Yeah, okay. So as you guys are coming in, let us know where you're watching from. If you're in the group, we will put a link after the stream where you can share this. And if you're watching from somewhere else, please share this out. Tag anyone that you think would like to learn more about building wealth. And it is 7 p.m. Eastern on the dot. So welcome to day 5 of our Wealth Building Challenge. We're going to go over build legacy. We talked about build wealth yesterday. We've gone through cash flow, building block number 1, debt management, building block number 2, reserves, building block number 3, proper protection, building block number 4, build wealth number 5, and today is build legacy. How to have your legacy go on and on and on for generations, all that you have done to build wealth, to make all of your wishes to happen and carry out and be in place. So if you don't already know who we are, we're Martin and Chelsea Matthews. We are married. We're in business together. We have a combined 21 years experience in the financial industry. We have a life insurance and financial services agency, and we're authors of this book, Let's Fight About Money, helping couples communicate about money, handle conflict, and build an unbreakable financial house. And when you signed up for our challenge, you got a free digital copy of our book. So you definitely want to take advantage of that book. There's a lot of helpful resources in there. I know Rock and Robin already started reading it. And I think Scott mentioned he started reading it as well. And Jay says he's read it like several times. So you guys, if you haven't dove into that, definitely take advantage of that. And we are helping you to build an unbreakable financial house. And what that really means is that you can handle anything that comes your way financially. Your financial house is unbreakable, unshakable, no matter what happens. But beyond that, you can create the life that you truly want to live, build the wealth that you want to build, and have the cash flow that you want to have. You can have the impact that you want in your family, your community, and beyond, so you could truly reach your potential and share your gifts and talents with the world. And so throughout this challenge, first of all, I want to tell you, today is the final day of our Wealth Building Challenge, and we're going to be giving away $500 cash money today. So stick around to the end because we're going to announce the winner at the end. So you don't want to go anywhere. And throughout this challenge, we have been delivering to you a clear understanding of exactly what an unbreakable financial house is, how to build it, how to strengthen it in your personal finances and your business finances as well. And today we're going to be talking about build legacy, building block number 6. Okay, so today you're going to get a thorough understanding of the importance and impact of building a legacy and the know-how to build it and ensure it's carried out. So if you signed up for the challenge, you got your workbook, now is the time to pull out your workbook and you're going to fill in the workbook that we have provided for you. We're going to go over some definitions to be sure that you understand the things that we're talking about and how to implement it properly. So we're going to talk about legacy, the importance of it, when it's carried out correctly and when it's carried out badly and what happens.
Yeah. So, okay. So look, when it comes down to legacy, let me pull this out here. Legacy is, I'll first just start out with defining what legacy, what we mean by legacy. Number one, legacy is a gift by will, especially of money or other personal property. That's one definition. Second definition, something transmitted or received, something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or from the past. So legacy isn't limited to just money. Money's a part of it, but something that's transmitted, passed on from your ancestors. Your genes are part of your legacies. The knowledge that your ancestors leave on to you, that's part of your inheritance. All of that's part of your inheritance. That's what when Chelsea talks about, and part of your legacy, when Chelsea talks about teaching our son about good money habits and things, doing things and showing by example, all of that's part of your legacy. Now, my father was a very well-known guy in my country. He used to be Secretary of State for the country I was born in, Liberia, West Africa. And so there's people today. My father died over 10 years ago. There's people today who, and matter of fact, Chelsea never met my dad. My father died before I met Chelsea. When Chelsea and I have been together for 10 years. And so almost 10 years. So there's people today, matter of fact, when we went to go get our carry license, our firearms carry license for the state of Georgia, there was a guy there and he saw my name and he was like, we started talking, he was from Liberia. And he's like, Matthews, Matt. So he was like talking, it's like, the only guy I know with that name in Liberia was like this family. And I have a big family. So he like knew my dad. He actually went to school with my dad. And so my father left a phenomenal legacy in many different ways, not just money. So the legacy you leave is beyond just money. It's your example, the things you pass on. So you gaining knowledge that you can pass on to the future generation, that's part of your legacy. So you have a responsibility to learn and do that. Now, some synonyms for legacy, meaning some other words for legacy, would be heritage What's the heritage you're gonna leave? You're gonna leave to the next generation. Sometimes I ask people this question: are you gonna leave bills or benefits? If something happened to you, what would you be leaving behind as that example, as that lesson for the future generation? What are they going to get from you being here and what you're doing? If you start approaching life with that frame of mind, you will start building intentionally and building towards the future, because you're looking at it not just for yourself, but also for your group, your family, the people that come after you. All right. So another, that second blank after heritage is inheritance. So synonyms for legacy is heritage or inheritance, something you inherit from another, from others. All right. So now onto the
Yeah, so what are some like good examples of a legacy, properly put in place and carried out? And not necessarily the things, but like, we hear in the media about celebrities usually when they don't have things
Yeah.
properly in place.
So some examples would be like Prince, for example. Prince is well-known artist, musical genius, right? And when Prince passed away, he did not even have a will, something Chelsea will discuss here in a second. And so what ended up happening is when you don't have these things in place, people can challenge and say, I'm owed some of this person's assets. Now, in Prince's case, he has a lot of intellectual property. His music, right? His music was worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So people started coming out of the woodworks and saying, "Hey, I'm Prince's child. I'm Prince's this." Now it may sound ridiculous because somebody randomly popping up and saying, "Hey, Prince is my dad." But whenever that happens, it has to be taken seriously. They have to investigate. They have to do all of this stuff to be able to determine, does this person have a valid claim? Somebody come out and say, yeah, that person borrowed some money from me 10 years ago. They never paid me back. So now with interest is worth this much. And I'm going to sue you for that money. You got to understand that when you don't have things in place, those kinds of things can happen. So Prince was one of them. One other person that actually did really, really good in terms of their legacy financially, in terms of leaving behind, was James Gandolfini. James Gandolfini was the guy in The Sopranos, right? James Gandolfini was the guy in The Sopranos. And one of the things he did was when he passed away, he ended up making sure that things were set up that his children would be provided for a long time. And he set it up in a way that they wouldn't have access to all of it right away. That it would continue to pay for their life and give them a little bit each month so that it can pay for their housing, their meals, stuff like that, and make sure they were taken care of. So he set himself, his future generations up, that they didn't have to worry about certain things. So when it comes down to your legacy, it's not just the money, but also what you teach the future generations.
Mm-hmm.
Warren Buffett is another example of this. Warren Buffett was a guy who never really had his estate plan fully set up, even though at one point I think he was the richest man in the world. He didn't have his estate plan fully set up. It was designed to be able to go to his wife. Well, his wife died before he did. And so he had to reevaluate everything. And so one of the things he did is, people say that Warren Buffett is like, I'm not going to give my kids a lot of money. Warren Buffett already gifted his kids like $1 billion each. Okay. So to him, $1 billion is like not a whole lot. And so he was able to leave some of that stuff for he gave it to his children, and now they're able to set up their foundations and stuff like that. So that was maybe 2%. No, at the time, what is he worth now? About 50 billion, 60 billion, something like that. So he probably gave his kids maybe less than 5% of his net worth. But 5% of his net worth is a couple of $1 billion. You understand? So those are some examples of those kinds of things. Some good stories and some bad stories on people leaving a legacy properly or improperly.
So we're going to talk about the actual pieces that make up your estate plan, okay? So that you can have a good, well thought out, planned, and executed legacy, right? Not just like an idea in your head and then everything goes to crap. No, we want to have it all put together correctly so all of your wishes and everything can carry on for generations. Okay, so if you don't have a workbook or you weren't able to print it or whatever, just take something to take notes. paper, pencil, fingernail, whatever. Just take some notes and write down this information so that you have it and you can implement it, okay? And if you have any questions along the way, put it in the chat. We'll do our best to answer. We will do our best to answer while we're live. And if we don't get to it while we're live, we will answer your question after, okay? So go ahead and take a look at your workbook. We're talking about wills. There are 3 main documents, but 4 things we're going to talk about when it comes to building your estate. Okay, so the first one is a will. And a will is, the definition of a will is a legal declaration of a person's wishes regarding their children, property, or estate after death. Okay, so some people think like, oh, I don't really have an estate. They think of estate as like this big, lavish, huge, wealthiest of the wealthiest. But no, everyone has an estate. If you have a house, car, maybe you have art, maybe you collect stamps or coins or baseball cards, or you have computer equipment or business office equipment. So all of the things that you have is part of your estate, and something happens to it after you're gone. So you can either decide or someone can decide for you. So these are the things that you need in place. The first one is will. And on the next line, it says about blank. About 2 out of 3 adults don't have a will. So this is something, a lot of people don't like to think about dying. They don't like to plan these things out. But guess what? It's a lot easier to think about it and plan it before it happens than after, because after you don't get to do it. And, think about how you can, the impact that you want to have on your family while you're here, but also think about when you're not here, the impact you want to have on your family. If you have things organized and in place and you've thought through these things, how much easier will that be on your family than having to also go through the, challenge and frustration of not having these things and having to try to figure it out. So it's just simply a will, simply a document that you declare what you want to happen to your belongings. Also, children. Okay, so the next line on your worksheet says, without a written will, there is no way to dictate who will care for your minor kids, who gets your home, who inherits your accounts or possessions. Okay, so this is important to think about if you are a single parent or divorced, or maybe the other parent's not in the picture, or maybe they don't have custody, but maybe you didn't ever get that in order, like legally. So it's very, very important if you have minor children to declare who you want to take care of your children if something happens to you. So you have to have that in writing. Otherwise, the state could make the decision for you. Or if there's a parent who's no longer in the picture that you don't want in the picture, they could come and say, hey, I want to take care of this kid now. So it's a lot of things that you probably maybe haven't thought about. And it's very important to think through these things so that as you're working so hard to build and strengthen your financial house while you're here, your financial plan doesn't stop because you do. Right? So it's important to think about all of these things. And then the question here, or what happens to your business? If you're a business owner, you have to designate who you want to run your business, how you want it run, what you want to happen to your business. So all of these things we want to be able to think about. If I was not here, what would I want to happen to everything I own, everything I run, everything I operate, everyone I care about? Okay, so the question is, do you have a will? On the worksheet, it asks that question. You just simply write down yes or no. If you don't have the workbook, just write it down in your notes. Do you have a will, yes or no? And also, if you do have a will, maybe you haven't updated it in a while. Maybe you've gotten married. Maybe you've had more kids. Maybe you got divorced, right? Any kind of life changes, it's important to update your will to reflect that. So will is the number one document that we have discussed so far when it comes to building your legacy and putting together an estate plan. So the next document that we're going to talk about, Martin's going to take that one.
Yeah. So next thing is something called a power of attorney. So we'll talk about will, and we're going to talk about something called power of attorney. So power of attorney is the right to act and make decisions for another person in business and legal matters. Right? The right to act and make decisions for another person in business and legal matters. A financial power of attorney gives another person the right to act on your behalf, for financial matters. So, look, here's the reason why this is key. This is important. When it comes down to a power of attorney, so that somebody can act on your behalf, if you're not able to do so. So it says, on the next line, without a power of attorney, who would pay the bills if blank? So you would write down in there, who would pay the bills if I became incapacitated. If I became incapacitated. Incapacitated means I'm unable to do so. Maybe I'm in a coma, I'm in an accident, I just can't do it. If I became incapacitated. Incapacitated is spelled INCAPACITATED. Okay, incapacitated. So now here's how that comes into play. Let's say, and this happened to an actual client of ours. The family came to me. We helped them with some financial planning. He had a retirement account with us. He had some life insurance, all that kind of stuff with us, right? And I said to them, you need to get a financial power of attorney to handle things in case something ever happened to one of you. You guys couldn't make a decision. So while they were in another country, the person became sick. Being sick, and they called me and they said, he's sick, we need to access some of the money in the account. I'm like, great, can I speak with him? And they're like, no, he's in a hospital. And I said, okay, can he even nod or blink or make any kind of suggestions or anything like that? And it said, no, he is in a coma. So he's in a coma, he's not communicating, he can't do anything, he can't say anything. Now, certain types of financial accounts, another person isn't on the account. Like for a retirement account, a 401k, there's only one person generally on that account. An individual retirement account, it's called individual, it's not called a family retirement account. So it's an individual on that account. I was talking to somebody the other day and they had it confused because their spouse is their beneficiary of the account. So they thought their spouse was on the account. That's not what that is. Only you are on that account, which means only you have the authority to make decisions for that account. Your spouse is simply the one that benefits if you pass away. They receive the funds, right? They're not on there. They can't make any decision on that account. They can't withdraw money. They won't send them any money, anything like that, just because they're your spouse. They don't care about that because they don't know if they have permission to do that. Now, in this person's case, the person was in a coma. And I know the family. So we're they wanted to withdraw some money to handle some of the healthcare things. In the country that they were in, they were having to pay every day for the person being in the hospital, and they ran out of money. So they needed funds and all that kind of stuff. So because I said, okay, let's see what we can do. But because they didn't have a power of attorney, they could not request funds out of that account legally without permission of the account holder. So fortunately, the client woke up from the coma and then was able to give permission, and then were able to execute on it. But during that period, when the person was in a coma, he was in a coma for like 2 weeks. While he was in a coma, they had no access to a lot of the funds. And so I want you to think about those kinds of things. Who, if you became incapacitated? It happens every day in America. It may not have happened to you yet. Maybe it has. It may not have happened to you yet. But I want you to understand that every day there's people in America who go into a coma, who become incapacitated. They get a traumatic brain injury. Now they cannot make financial decisions on their own anymore. They suffer a stroke. Now they can't speak. Now they're not all there to be able to make the decision. Somebody has to continue making the financial decisions for that person. Somebody has to make sure that bills are continuing to get paid. All kinds of different things that needs to happen that you don't think about until it actually occurs. So what we're trying to do is help you to build a strong financial house. Part of that is knowing what your threats are. If you can't build an empire if you don't know what the threats are, your empire is going to crumble because if you don't know what the threats are, you can't prepare for the threats. So once we knew what some of the threats were, we prepared for the threats so that if any threat came our way, it would already be prepared for and it would be neutralized. You understand? You got to look at your finances and what you build in the same way, your financial house. You can't let things threaten your financial house and take you down and take you under. And it doesn't matter where you are today. I know there's some people who maybe you're just getting started or you're trying to get your income going, your income's lower than what you wanted to be and all of that. I understand all of that. But however, this challenge is designed to raise your level of awareness. If nobody teaches you this stuff, and let me tell you something else, by the way. Most people in America, a lot of people in America, if you're in the middle class or if you're below the middle class, most people never learn this stuff and they never learn it for free. And the reason is a lot of times when you're just getting started or you don't have a lot of money, financial people aren't necessarily trying to talk to you. Why? Because they know you don't have any money. It's not like they don't know. They know, okay? They know who's affluent. We know who's affluent and we know who's not affluent. It's not hard to figure out because you're around people with money all the time. You know when somebody doesn't have money. And so we're teaching you this stuff so that you can be thinking with it in mind. Because even if you don't have a lot of assets today, tomorrow, next year, the year after that, you may have some assets. Or you may want to start thinking, how do I protect what I have? It could just be maybe you just have your primary residence. You're thinking about how do I make sure I'm protecting that? And how do I make sure if I have minor children? What if you have minor children and you're a single mom and you have no power of attorney? You have no form that says if something happens to me, this person will have access to my bank account. And you're a single mom and you got 2 kids and you get into a coma. God forbid you get into a coma. How is somebody going to keep providing for your kids if they have no access to be able to go to your bank account, to cash your paycheck, to help to pay for the things your kids need? Who is going to do that? It may not be something you're thinking about, and it's not like always the funnest thing to think about, but guess what? It's not fun for whoever has to handle that when you have no instructions, when you've left no instructions on what they need to do. So regardless of where you are financially, you need to be thinking about that. And we talk to even high income earners and high net worth people. A lot of them don't have these things in place. Just because somebody has a lot of money doesn't mean they have a solid financial plan in place. And so those are things you're going to be thinking about. There's tons of famous people who don't have any life insurance, who don't have a comprehensive estate plan, don't have a power of attorney, all of that. So what's going to happen? It leaves your legacy in jeopardy because you have not made your wishes known legally. Okay, so.
Yep. Okay, so the next document that we're talking about when it comes to build your legacy, it's on the next page of your worksheet, and it's called Advanced Directive or Healthcare Directive, okay? And it's similar to a power of attorney, but having to do with making medical decisions instead of financial decisions. So it says Advanced Directive or Healthcare Directive, a legal document signed by a competent person of sound mind to provide guidance for medical and healthcare decisions, such as the termination of life support or organ donation in the event the person becomes incompetent to make such decisions. So this is kind of heavy stuff, guys, right? But it is so much easier. Like I said, it's so much easier to think about it now before something like that happens than to try to figure it out after the fact, okay? So like when Martin and I got married, we put all of these documents in place. We built our estate plan, which will help to build our legacy. Okay, so we made all these decisions of like all of our belongings, what we would want to happen with them. And if we have time a little bit later, I forgot to tell you a personal story about a will and not having a will within my family. But we're talking about healthcare directive, okay? So like we had to make decisions if I was in a coma or if Martin was in a coma, like who would make medical decisions? Like what if you had to decide to pull the plug or not pull the plug on a loved one? And it's interesting because until you actually have these conversations or think about it, you have no idea what your partner, what their wishes are. Like me, I was like, I don't want to sit in a coma for years and like, just like, I'm a saver, remember? I don't want to like spend all the money on staying like in a hospital, being plugged up to machines if I'm not coming back. I'm like, pull the plug, man. Okay, save the money. Go take care of the family. Build the wealth, right? And Martin is like, well, they might have some kind of discovery or medical discovery that they can bring me out of the coma. Or what if I'm like awake but I can't talk and I know what's going on?
Just
And
give me a little
so
bit of time.
he doesn't want to pull the plug. So he had to put in writing so I don't pull the plug, because I'm like, pull the plug, man. And
well,
so,
I would find it very difficult to pull the plug on my wife. I would find it very hard to make that call. So
well, and for me, it's kind of like, I feel like if everything has been exhausted and there's no chance, then I would feel like you're kind of putting everyone out of their misery. Like the person still has some kind of functioning going on, but they're just hooked up to a machine. And so that's not really any quality of life. But again, it's your personal preference, your personal decision. And we had different ideas about that. And that's okay. But we put it in writing so he doesn't have to decide to pull the plug. I have in writing like when to pull the plug.
Yeah.
And he has in writing, I don't have to like decide. And if I was faced with that decision, I joke about it now, but it probably would not be that. I wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, pull the plug. It would be, that's a big decision. And so it's important to have those things in writing so that you know what the other person's wishes are, and it's not put on you to have to make that decision.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing about this whole thing, one solution for that, by the way, is because Chelsea was concerned. It's like, well, if you're in a coma and the longer you're staying on there, you're depleting revenue.
Mm-hmm.
It
That
costs
costs money every day in the hospital,
So-
machines. I know because William, our son, was born 3 months early, and he was in the NICU. That's like the ICU for babies, for newborns, for 3.5 months. And that was not cheap, okay? It was like just flat $5,000 a day, not even including the ventilator, and he had surgery and medicines and tests and all of that. I mean, the bill was over $1 million. So I know how much that crap costs. And I'm like, I don't want to just be depleting the family wealth and family resources if there's no chance.
Yeah. So one of the things I
It's
did
unnecessary.
to handle that, guys, is I have a type of life
freeze
insurance
me.
policy. No. Well, I have a type of life insurance policy that can pay me while I'm still alive. So if I got into a coma, one of my policies,
I don't want to have to use it
No,
if it
I
doesn't need
understand.
to be used.
one of my policies is for $2 million. I have several different life insurance policies. One of them is for $2 million. Out of that particular policy, they would give me up to $1 million check, right? So if I get sick, if I got cancer, stroke, heart attack, got into a coma, it would trigger that. That's why I tell people you got to be careful with when it comes to life insurance, where you get it, who you get it from, all those kinds of different things, because
What's included, what's not.
what's included, what's not included. And then I tell people you got a $2 million policy that only pays when you die. What if you don't die and you get sick? Who pays for that? You do. So and that's one of the reasons we told people, if you want a life insurance quote, go and request a quote from our agency, because we're able to look at many different life insurance companies and give you a plan that fits. There's tons of people who only have life insurance that pays when you die. I would never buy a life insurance policy that only paid when I died. The only reason why somebody does that is because they don't know that you can get a policy that can also pay while you're living. We had somebody receive $282,000 from their life insurance policy while they were still living when the guy survived a heart attack. You understand? That's what it costs in America. If you don't have a policy like that, you're putting your finances at financial risk. There was somebody who posted that they had their adult daughter waiting for a transplant, a major organ transplant. We posted it in our group. And then I did an example. I was showing Tammy, you guys met Tammy a little earlier. I was showing Tammy an example. I'm like, man, if this person had a policy like this, and I said, if they bought a policy like this on their child in their 20s, and here's what it would look like. And I said, imagine if at this age, and I was just showing a $500,000 policy in that, and I said, look, this minimal cost on this, almost anybody can afford one. So I said, look, in this scenario, this would have paid them anywhere from $230,000 to $400,000. We would have been delivering a check to that person, and it wouldn't have to work. They miss work because their child is dealing with a major organ transplant, having to deal with that. And when you're trying to get an organ transplant, you are on a wait list. So you got to wait until one of them comes up. And so how do you, if you're a mother, how do you take care of your kid and try to work at the same time when your child is dealing with that? No matter if your child is a minor, an adult, when your child is dealing with that type of situation. So we explain to people so that we can educate you, because it's not just about life insurance. Don't get caught up in like, oh yeah, I'm going to go on the internet and do a quick search and go on Google and all that. You could end up getting a very basic policy that you would miss out on hundreds of thousands of dollars that could be paid to you because you didn't get the right one. Simply. So look, in my case, to handle that situation that Chelsea's talking about, I said, look, I'm going to get a $2 million policy. It will pay me up to $1 million if I get critically or chronically sick. So what does that mean? That means I don't have to touch any of my other assets. That policy will handle that, so they can maybe figure out how to get me out of the coma, so I can come back and kick ass again.
Oh, and really quick, going back to the power of attorney, one thing too that's important is like on bank accounts. For couples, if you have any bank accounts, like some accounts I'm on, some accounts Martin's on, some accounts we have joint. If something happens to your spouse or a loved one that you make financial decisions for and your name is not on that account, you can't get to that money.
Yeah.
So that's very, very important as well.
So all of these guys are key things that you need to be thinking about so that you can protect yourself and your family. And here's the thing, here's something I'll say. Wealthy people who have a lot of assets, they have the most amount of insurance and protection on themselves, even though they have a lot of money. Unfortunately, the people who need it the most, who will be bankrupt if they have one major health issue, will be devastated financially. Most of those people are people who don't have this stuff. And part of the reason for that is wealthy people get educated by advisors like ourselves, and other people, they either don't, somebody doesn't reach to them and talk to them and everything. That's part of why we do this challenge, so we can talk to everybody all at once in a group, right? And give you this information so you can think with it and you can apply it to your life. All right,
so next document when it comes to estate planning, building legacy, is a trust.
Okay, so that's my part.
That's your part.
All right, so what is a trust? This especially
he likes to take his parts and my part.
If you're a parent, you should listen very closely to this part. If you have minor children, listen to this part. If you all of these, listen very closely when it comes to what we're going to talk about here. A trust. So what is a trust? So a trust is a legal arrangement in which someone's property or money is legally held or managed by someone else or by an organization, like a bank or something, for a period of time. So money is held, assets are held for the benefit of someone else, and is held in a trust, which is a legal structure. And it's typically you name somebody you trust to oversee the assets. Sometimes it can be a person, sometimes it can be a bank. And I'll get into specifics of why you may want to have a person, why you may want to have like a professional institution like a bank, things like that. So the question was, do you have a trust? You don't have to answer. You can answer publicly if you want. Most people do not have a trust. This is also something Chelsea and I set up when we got married, because we have a minor son. Now, Chelsea and I travel a lot together. What if Chelsea and I are traveling on a trip to Aruba, a plane goes down? Or maybe it's coming back from Aruba, because then we'll be coming back from vacation. She doesn't want that. Look, anything can happen. You could go down in a plane crash. Look at Kobe. It happens. So look, if Chelsea and I both kick the bucket and we leave a minor son, first of all, what do we want to happen? How will he be provided for? Very important question.
Sweeten this topic up.
Very important question. How will he be provided for? Look, guys, this isn't a bad topic. It's just this is some of the realities of life.
Yeah.
First of all, nobody should be afraid of kicking the bucket because you're gonna have to confront that at some point. Okay, you're gonna confront it one way or another. None of us get out of this deal alive. So you're gonna drop. Your body is
Or
going
do
to.
we?
Your body is going to. Well, your body doesn't get out of this deal alive, depending on what your beliefs are. But your body's gonna die at some point. So you might as well set things up the right way. Okay. Yeah, see, at least get the vacation on. Yeah, that's what I'm coming back from the vacation. And there you go. You can be happy. You can have some vacation loving, and you're on your way back, and you're happy and smiley and all that. And then there you go. So anyway, we set this up because if something happened to Chelsea and I want to make sure our son's provided for, and so we have trust established. We have a family trust, and which assets would go into the trust. Now, I want you to understand. For those of you who have parents or minor children, probably the number one thing is helping to provide for your children, especially the moms out there. One thing that you should not do is make your minor child the beneficiary of your life insurance policy. Mm-hmm. It is a common mistake, big mistake that parents make, because nobody's going to give your 8-year-old $1 million check. Hey, little kid, here's $1 million. An insurance company isn't going to pay an 8-year-old $1 million check. So what happens? Well, the money has to stay there and somebody's got to try to petition for it and all these kinds of different things, but the money isn't available right then until the child becomes 18 or 21 in certain states. Now, here's another factor. Do you want to give a 21-year-old or 18-year-old $1 million? $500,000? They're barely working and taking care of themselves. You want to just give them $500,000 when they turn 18? No, I'm not going to do that. And our son, we've taught him a lot about money. Still, I'm not going to give him $1 million when he's 18.
Nope.
Because I don't know what he's going to do with it. What if at 18 he's experimenting with all kinds of drugs? Do I want to give somebody $1 million at 18 so they can go experiment with their legacy? No. Okay. These are things you got to think about. So what we have done is, if Chelsea now passed away, he turns 18. His trust will disperse a little bit of money to him. He'll get like 10%. When he's 25, you get another percentage and another percentage, and I think he gets the rest when he's like 45 or something. It's super delayed. It's like, dude, go make some money on your own. And we have different things set up for him, but that's one of the things we did was making sure that that's there. He is not a beneficiary on any of our life insurance policies. Chelsea and I are beneficiaries on our policies, and I trust the beneficiaries on the policy. So if you have minor children, one of the things you could do is you can establish a trust. And for those of you guys who want to know this stuff, when you do, because everybody's situation is different, we offer people a strategy call with our team, and we'll help you identify what you need to do in each one of these areas specific to your situation. So for some of you who want to know about how to have a will, a trust, power of attorney, all that kind of stuff, we'll get you information on that. But we have plans in which you can set that up for your family. And an ideal way would be you would set up a trust for your family, and then your life insurance policy would pay into the trust, and then you state in your documents how you want that trust to be paid out and taking care of your children. Like I would want my son to be taken care of financially. I would want if he wants to start a business, the trust can provide him some money for the business. One feature is that the trust can match him. Let's say he wants to buy real estate. He can go and save some of his own money. The trust can match the assets that he saved for him to go and do business, right? The trust, let's say he wants to go to a foreign country and he wants to provide, he wants to take care of kids in a foreign country, right? He wants to help some country get better, help the community, but it's not going to pay him a lot. Maybe he wants to volunteer his time. Well, the trust can actually pay for him and pay for his living expenses while he goes and volunteers his time for a year, helping kids in a third world country, something like that. You understand, you can use these tools to be able to help forward your mission of making the world a better place. If my kid wants to go and volunteer with kids in Africa, he wants to build homes in Africa, but he's like, do I want to go to Africa for a year and go build homes? Or do I want to take a job here and go make some money? How am I going to live if I go to Africa for a year and I'm not going to be getting paid? What am I going to do? Well, if he has a trust, his trust can pay for that. And then he can go and do those good deeds for that community. So you have to understand there's different things you can do. Does getting a trust cost a lot? No, not necessarily. It depends on the complexities of if somebody's a wealthy person, they have very complex assets and businesses and different things. It can cost a few $1,000s. If somebody just needs an estate plan done that's not super complicated, it can cost a few $100s. And some of these you can pay for over a year. You can split it up into 12 monthly payments. So for example, a person could pay $40-$50 a month and they can have all these documents all set up for their family. So it's not very expensive to be able to do that. And if you think about it, something costs 30 or 40 or $50 a month, is roughly $1 or $2 per day to make sure all this stuff's taken care of and set up for them and always have it. So I'm going to go into some types of trusts. So on the next page, some types of trusts. One of them is called a dynasty trust. So you flip onto the next page, it would say some types of trust. Dynasty trust. What is a dynasty trust? So a dynasty trust is a long-term trust created to pass wealth from generation to generation without incurring transfer taxes. So, look, there are different things rich people do. Rich people are operating with different understanding, different knowledge. For some people, it's the first time they've heard about that there's different types of trusts. There's lots of different types of trusts. Some of them we'll go over here tonight so they can understand. But a dynasty trust allows people to pass wealth from generation to generation. So one of the things that we're doing is we have our son he's our only child. So when we have future children, they will be added to our estate. And what, you don't want future children? So they'll be added to our estate, and then they would be able to benefit from that. And then the trust can set up a trust on them. And when we pass away, money will flow into that trust, and it can flow for generations and generations.
I'm waiting for the medical miracle of men being able to carry babies.
Oh yeah. So you got to understand how you need to have this in place so that you can take care of your family. So I was always very interested in the aspect of leaving a legacy for generations. So one way I would do that is through a dynasty trust, in which I can leave money across multiple generations without it ending. So it just keeps going on and going on and going on. Is a trust that continues on. It's called trust in perpetuity, which means it can continue on and on. And as long as it continues to be funded and there continues to be assets in the trust can exist for multiple generations. And then you can transfer wealth across generations without incurring transfer taxes.
Isn't there a soap opera named that?
There was a soap opera called Dynasty. So that was a little clue that we're giving you guys. Dynasty. So beyond a dynasty trust, there's another type of trust called an irrevocable life insurance trust. Irrevocable life insurance trust. So sometimes when we do our challenges, there's some high net worth people, and so there could be some high net worth people.
Of trust.
There could be a high net worth people in here listening to us and watching this video, things like that. But an irrevocable life insurance trust is created to own and control a term or permanent life insurance policy or policies while the insured is alive, as well as to manage and distribute the proceeds that are paid out upon the insured's death. They're called ILITs for short, Irrevocable Life Insurance Trust, are used by very high net worth individuals. So this is why I tell you, rich people do not self-insure. When you become rich in America and your worth is above a certain amount, when you die, the government wants to tax almost half of that amount above a certain threshold. So you got to figure out, okay, if I build a successful business and I die and I'm going to self-insure and the government hits you with a $10 million, $15 or $20 million tax bill, upon your death, for your family to inherit the business and assets, how will that be paid for? So
Dun, 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 dun.
rich people are like, I'm not going to sell part of my business for them to pay for that. We're not going to sell our real estate portfolio. We're not going to sell these assets off to pay for that. So what they do is rich people buy life insurance. Unsurprisingly, they do not self-insure. They buy large amounts of life insurance, and they put it into something called an ILET. So basically, you set up a trust. The trust buys the life insurance on the wealthy individual, and then the trust is the beneficiary of the life insurance policy. So when a wealthy person dies, the money goes into the trust. The trust then pays the estate taxes so that the family does not have to liquidate their business. They don't have to liquidate their holdings. They don't have to sell their real estate. They don't have to do all of that. The trust will pay the estate taxes. Now, the trust receives the money tax-free. Trust receives this money tax-free because life insurance pays out tax-free. So the trust receives this money. The trust pays the estate taxes, and then the rest of the money can be managed and distributed to the beneficiaries through this irrevocable life insurance trust. Now, there's a lot of different reasons. I won't get into why an irrevocable life insurance trust is used for very high net worth individuals, but that's one of the ways that wealthy people try to avoid having to pay estate taxes. There's something called estate taxes, which is that we talked about having an estate. When a person dies, the sum of all the things that you own. The government wants to take almost half of that above a certain amount. It's not quite half, but they want to take almost half, a big portion of that above that certain threshold.
More than they need to.
More than they should. So they tax you when you're living, they tax you when you die, they tax you when this, tax when you buy stuff, tax. So there's all different legal ways around these, but you have to understand what they are. Now, of course, an ILET is typically for a high net worth individual. If you don't know what estate taxes are, it probably wouldn't apply to you. But if you are a high net worth or high income earner and you're concerned about estate taxes, reach out to us and we will help you understand how we have set up, help our clients establish irrevocable life insurance trusts. If you're a high net worth individuals, we can even finance your life insurance policy for you. So we can get the policy financed, get your irrevocable life insurance trust set up, and there's even trust and estate planning services where they can oversee some of the assets in the trust. So if you have a concern about estate taxes, if you didn't know what estate taxes were before today, that's probably not a problem that you currently have. Estate taxes are generally applied to, I think it's 12.5 million, something like that now. If you're worth over 12.5 million, then you may have an estate tax situation you may want to look at. So that's you.
Even then, sometimes people don't know.
Yeah. So sometimes they reduce. Yeah. We had a client that was worth 70 million, and his attorney, his accountant had told him, hey, we got to do something about this situation because you're going to have a big estate tax bill. And so they had to figure that out. And so that's how we got in touch and were able to get an ILET set up and then get a life insurance policy financed for them. Lots of different things can be done. But for those of you who think you might be worth that in the near future, then you may want to start thinking about estate taxes, because depending on the policies of our government, sometimes that 12.5 million threshold can be reduced. At one point, the threshold was if you had over $1 million, anything above that $1 million would face estate taxes. So you could have a business that's worth over $1 million. Well, your ownership of that could face estate taxes. So depending on what the rules are. So if estate tax threshold is reduced, you could find yourself facing an estate tax problem where you actually didn't have one before. So on the bottom there, it says, what will your legacy be? Once you really consider that, what will your legacy be? Are there any questions in there you think?
Yeah, if I inherit real estate that is not in the U.S., do I have to pay taxes for it?
It depends. It depends on a few different things. It could depend on your citizenship status, if you have dual citizenship, or if it depends on where it is. to where if that property is inherited in a different country, that it's not assessed if you're not generating income from it. So if that's the situation you're facing, we can always look at that and see if that would apply. But we would need to know a little bit more info on that to say yes or no either way, depending on where the property is, what if you have dual citizenship between this country and that country. Like sometimes people come here, like I was born in Liberia, so if I come here and get naturalized and I become an American citizen, but person can also be a citizen of another country and an American citizen at the same time. So some of that would depend on a few different factors.
So we've talked about the 4 documents that need to be in place for building your legacy. And like Martin said, think about what you want your legacy to be. And if you have these documents in place, if you don't have these documents in place, this is something that we can help you with. We've also talked about throughout our challenge, we went through the 6 building blocks that make up your financial house. We talked about everyone is building a financial house. Some people have a financial shack and some people have a financial mansion, and some people are somewhere in between. So you got to figure out exactly where you are. And as we went through each one of these building blocks, then you were looking at where you are in each one of those building blocks and what steps you need to take to strengthen your financial house so you can get closer and closer to building an unbreakable financial house. So the 6 building blocks that we went over throughout this challenge is cash flow number 1, the money coming in and going out of your household. And the main thing to focus on there is how can you get it up and keep it up? The cash flow, always expanding, growing, flourishing and prospering, looking at ways that you can provide more value to bring more money in. We looked at building block number 2, debt management, understanding the difference between good and bad debt and how to use good debt to build more wealth. We also talked about reserves, building block number 3, how to help strengthen and have a foundation in your financial house so that if unexpected things come up, it's not even an emergency. It's not a problem because you can handle it. You have your reserves built up, right? And then building block number 4, we talked about proper protection, how life insurance can ensure the financial survival of your personal finances and your business. And then yesterday we talked about building block number 5, build wealth, the ways to build lasting wealth and also the ways to avoid the enemies of your wealth that can kill your wealth, right? So it's important to not only look at how to build wealth, but what can take you out of the game. And then today we talked about building your legacy and having those documents in place. So if you would like a closer look at each one of these 6 building blocks and you would like to meet with somebody from our team, you can request a free strategy call. This is something that is worth over $1,200 and we're offering it for free for now. But you can go to 6buildingblocks.com/strategy and apply for a free strategy call to go through those 6 building blocks and really get an exact plan for your financial needs, your financial goals, exactly what steps to take to reach all of your goals and build an unbreakable financial house. Also, we are about to give away $500. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover as far as like what we talked about?
Success stories. And success stories as well.
So the challenge for today is in your workbook on the last page, there is a success story. So this is something this is an exchange that you can do with us. We would love to hear your success story of what you learned from this challenge, what you've implemented, what you enjoyed, and you can write it down on this space provided and post it. But even better, what we would love is if you did a video like 60 seconds or less and posted it in the group. That would be amazing. We would love, love, love that. And we want to hear from you. What are your financial goals? What did you learn in the challenge? And what are you going to do now that's different from what you were doing before. So that would be really, really helpful. We would greatly appreciate that. And
we still want to see this too, because then just give us your permission if we can post it, because when we do future challenges, we can say, hey, here's what people learned from it, and that would encourage other people to come in, because that helps to increase their financial literacy.
And you can type it in a post. You don't have to handwrite it and like take a picture. Okay. Anything else before we announce the winner?
No.
And then we're also going to tell you guys what is coming up next. Should we tell them that now, or should we do the winner and then do that? Okay, we're going to tell you what's coming up next, because we have another event that we are planning in 2 weeks.
Yep.
We're going to tell you about that. But first, we are going to announce.
So we'll tell them about that, then we'll announce the winner.
Huh?
We'll tell them about that, then we'll announce the winner.
Oh, okay. You want to tell them about that?
Yeah. So
and then we will give
Chelsea,
away
and then we'll
$500.
So hey Rain, is that thing all set up already? So the one of the things that we didn't talk about during this challenge was how do you become efficient with your money, and you can become your own bank. And what we mean by that is how you can have assets working for you and then leverage it to use it in other locations to do different things you want to do. So we're going to talk about that. We usually have this type of conversation with high income earners and high net worth individuals. But you can come on a webinar, no matter where you are financially. You can come on a webinar. It's going to be a 1 hour webinar, 1 hour or less, where we talk about how wealthy people use these strategies to get their money working more efficiently and leverage it to buy income producing assets and other things like that. So this is going to be, that one's going to be very kind of tactical, and some of the things that we do, how to execute on strategies like this. It's going to be in 2 weeks. You can go to, where's the site that they can go to, Rain? Rain's going to drop that in the comments.
Well, we can probably send out an invite. We don't want to put too many links in there, do we?
Yeah, you give it to, you put it in there. Okay. People can register for all the stuff they want to register for.
Okay, great. BYOB.
So 6buildingblocks.com/BYOB. And you can learn.
Bring your own booze.
This is something we set up for our son. We set up for ourselves. You can leverage to buy income producing assets. You can leverage to do to buy stocks, crypto, whatever thing you want to do with assets that you build and leverage for other vehicles. You can use that. You can use this vehicle for that. We'll go over it and we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about how actually the current president of the United States actually used this exact strategy. Why he's been using it since the 80s. So we'll cover all of that during that Become Your Own Bank webinar.
Okay, you guys, who's ready for us to give $500 away? We are ready. Okay, so we're about to announce the winner, and you guys, I have to tell you something. So we're going to give away $500, but it's actually a tie, okay? Because there are two people that have really stood out throughout this challenge who has gone above and beyond, exchange, posting, doing the challenges, using creativity, pushing past their comfort zone, implementing the things right away. Okay, so we have two $250 winners. Okay, it's a tie. We couldn't pick, sorry. But we are giving away $500. Okay, so the first winner, and I will tell you something, and you guys take note of this, okay? When I announce these names, you guys should go through the challenge and look and see what they posted, their comments, and see the level of engagement and participation and implementation. Because in life, the more that you outflow, the more that you contribute, the more value, the more that you commit to something, the better the results in life you're going to get, and the faster your success is going to come. Okay, so, and I can tell you, the first person that I'm going to announce that's a $250 winner, right here in the comments. Now, we can't see all the comments right here, but I'll tell you the level of commitment of showing up. Let's see if I can. Okay, here it is. And then you'll know who you are when you hear this. This comment says, I will definitely be doing a recorded success story, but not now because I'm at Chuck E. Cheese for a kid's party. This person is at Chuck E. Cheese for a kid's party, but still showing up and participating in this challenge. So the first $250 winner is LaKendra Fulbright. Congratulations, LaKendra. Okay, so everyone congratulate LaKendra, and you can contact us after because we'll get that cash money to you. And good job on all your engagement and creativity with pictures and posting and implementing and showing up, even though I know you had all kinds of stuff going on with your kids and everything. Okay, and the second winner, $250, this person has been engaging, participating, already gave a success video, encouraging other people, commenting on other people's posts, cheering them on, implementing, pushing past her comfort zone, and doing multiple videos. And so we will all congratulate the second $250 winner is Rockin' Robin! Congratulations, Rockin' Robin. And so you guys, I want you to go and look at both of these ladies' posts, engagement, encouraging other people, creativity. You guys have really shown up, and it will show up in your results. So congratulations. Congratulations to everyone who participated, who showed up, who implemented the things that you learned. And it doesn't stop here. This group is going to go on. It's going to grow and expand. And this is a place to talk about your financial goals, talk about the things you're working on, get cheered on, get support, get the right information. So stick around and continue attending our events that are coming up, because we're going to be building on all of these things that we've introduced in this challenge to help you continue strengthening your financial house and making it truly unbreakable.
Yes. So, and by the way, if we announce you as one of our daily during the challenge, we give away daily cash prizes.
Yeah.
If you were one of the winners, make sure to DM us.
And if you didn't let us know or contact us, we don't have a way to get you your winnings.
Yeah,
so if you have won, and
that means you
have
gotta
not
watch. You gotta make sure
contacted
you
us,
watch to make sure that you were the winner. You gotta be on. You gotta participate. And then when we announce that, you got to DM us.
And we do have a list of the winners, just like a will. So, so we do know who they are.
Yes, but only DM us that you are a winner. So if we had called your name during the challenge. So yeah, like Chelsea saying, we do have a list of the winners.
Yes.
Anyway, we thank you guys for participating in our wealth building challenge. Make sure you're on the Become Your Own Bank webinar. That's going to take place in 2 weeks. And then we're going to do, after the new year, we're going to do another wealth building challenge again. Maybe we'll theme this with around like couples or something like that. Maybe we'll do like a couples themed one where people can come together. Where you can, anybody, if you're single, maybe you can still participate.
Let's fight about money challenge.
Yeah. So where we talk about that, because how couples can get on the same page in these 6 areas, because sometimes people aren't always on the same page, and sometimes it's hard to get them on the same page. So that's awesome. Yes, Jay Hemphill. Jay's been in several of our challenges. I think Jay's won $1,400. He said from us. So Jay's been great. He's been a great person. He's always very positive, always commenting on our stuff, and is a very cool guy.
You guys, and I want to tell you something too we talked on the first day about mindset. And just a quick thing here, and a lot of people are congratulating and cheering on the winners, and that's really great. I will tell you something about what you think about, like, if you're going to win in life, or if you think you're not going to win in life, because there were some messages that went out, like letting everyone know, hey, the challenge is starting. We're going to be giving away, the grand prize. And there is actually some people who said, I never win. I'm not going to win. And I'll tell you, guess what? You're right. If you tell yourself you're not going to win, and you tell yourself you're not going to get anything, you are right, because that's what you're looking for. Your brain will always look to make you right. So you have got to think that you've got to believe that you're going to win in life, right? You're going to have success. And so anytime, this is one thing that we talked about a few days ago, Anytime you have a negative thought or you think I'm not going to win or I can't do that or that's not going to happen, cut that shit out. Seriously, like you have to say, I'm a winner, I'm going to win, and you have to be confident. And even if you don't win the specific thing, you know, that you're looking at, you continue with the mindset that you're a winner. You are a success creator. You're a wealth builder. And you continue believing that and taking action. Because you can't just say, oh, I'm a winner, or I believe I'm going to win, and then not do anything. Like this whole challenge was about it being engaged, implementing. We gave you challenges so you could actually start changing your financial house throughout this challenge. And so I challenge you guys to continue thinking and increasing your abundance thinking and mindset. Okay, so look for ways that you can win. And if you're not winning, then look for actions that you need to change. Like what can you do? We talked about increase your knowledge, take more responsibility, and have more control. So you got to look for where can I take responsibility to make different actions and different choices, even if it's just starting in your mind and the way that you're thinking. That's the place to start. You guys are all winners and you guys are all wealth builders. You just have to apply the information that you just received. And if you need help, reach out. We're here to help you implement these things. And this whole group is here to support you and encourage you.
Yeah. Amen to that, sister. So look.
Amen.
Keep plugged into this group. We'll keep posting more and more things in the group to help you on your journey to building more wealth, building affluence, and flourishing and prospering. That is what we would love to see for all of you. Having everybody here be a success story in some area of their life, whether being an even more successful parent, more successful husband or wife, or whatever it is that you want to do so that you flourish and prosper in all your activities in life. And we want to support you from the knowledge that we have and encouragement that we have. So we thank you for participating and stay tuned. Turn on notification for the group. Come in every day.
Oh, yeah, man.
Come in and comment on things. And that's how you stand out. Participate. If you don't participate in life, you're not going to get to where you want to go. Life is a contact sport. Nobody does it on their own. You're never going to do anything great on your own. Be around people who are going in the right direction, and together you'll be able to get there. So that's the message.
That's the message.
All right. We'll see you guys.
You guys have an excellent weekend. Have a great evening.
Now my wife and I are going on date night.
Are we?
Date? Yeah, of course, man.
Oh, late.
It's not late. It's like 8 o'clock.
We gotta go get William. Okay.
Date night,
we're
man.
Going on date night.
Date night and a booty call.
Oh my God.
That's what we're
Just
doing.
had to take it there.
Hey, you guys have a great night. I hope you guys all have booty calls tonight too. Peace.